How's it going, guys? This is David Blade Banter, also Orion Knives, and we're going to be checking out a new product that's coming to you. There's going to be one from Nick Riggi. It's going to be a product that's going to be available next year, so he didn't want to actually put any burden on folks during the holidays. There's a lot of shopping going on and everything else, so he wanted to push that off until next year. So he's going to be doing a pre-order for the product, and then you're going to see what it looks like here. We're also going to see what Nick looks like. So if you haven't seen him before, he actually does knife making first. So it took a few years to do that. Also has triplet boys, which is great, and I think they're in college or out of high school, or getting close to being out of high school, but able to survive with it. So if you didn't know, I also have triplet boys. Mine are 9 though. So we're going to see what Nick looks like, and then actually walk you through some of the products here. So this is going to be Nick. This is from one of the live streams that we did. So this is one that is actually on Grumpy Grunt's channel. So this is what Nick looks like. There's no audio on it currently for that, but that's Nick right there. And Nick also has his own Instagram account. So if you want to look at the product, see kind of where the project is going, where it came from, some of his custom work available. So that's going to be all here for him. And then he also does have his Etsy page. So he has some tooling that he worked on, and also even his custom. So if you don't want to wait around for the production variant, there are some customs available, and they're $2.95, which is really not a bad price for a handmade custom knife in comparison to what the production is going to be, because the production side is going to be about $195 if you do the 100% payment, and then about, I think it was $225. I'll pull that up in a little bit, but I think it was about $225, about $215. So $215 for that one. So either a $195 or $215. So that's going to be what you have with that. But yeah, he has it on his shop. Has some fixed blades, and then also his folders. So that is a really cool thing, because a lot of folks that get into it are more doing ODM work, and then he's actually putting the metal to the grinder and actually making the products, which is pretty impressive for those things. So go over, check them out, and also follow along on the project. So this one actually is going to be made by Shieldon. So Shieldon is a new company to me. I haven't known about them very much, and then they actually do have their own OEM work. So they said it's been around since '98, I think it was, for their website. So since 1998. So they do have OEM servicing, so that's where he's going around with that. So this is my first Shieldon that I was able to handle, so it's been a good experience. There's some things that I would recommend changing, and then some things he's already working on as far as adjustments. So that's going to be what it looks like there, but this is what it looks like in pocket for the knife, and that is actually going to be changing out. So he is going away from the loop over to a actual titanium clip. So he is going with a titanium clip for it instead. So again, $195 full payment and $215 with $100 down, and then so that's going to go. Also, he's going to be adding some more milling on the inside of it. So that's going to be actually reducing some of the weight too, but that's going to be what it looks like in pocket in this configuration. Again, he's going to be changing it out to a titanium clip, so that doesn't really matter as much, because this is one of the things that I did not like about it, because the retention on this is pretty low. So in taking it in and out of the pocket, so that's where it's a very low retention. So I prefer about a 1 to 2 pound retention on a clip, and then this is about 10 ounces. So that's taking away the weight of the knife and actually using a Lyman pull gauge and then hooking onto it and then actually pulling it out of the pocket, and that's going to be about 10 ounces. So that was a pretty low. It was kind of a low thing where I didn't really feel comfortable carrying it. So that's where it's not my knife, not something that I wanted to mess around with. So that's what it came to me. But with the milled titanium, it should fix that for you as far as that. So it's going to go from 14C28 is this variant. So that's going to be, this variant is 14C28. And titanium, it is going to be either M390 or 20CV, and there's going to be 2 different blade materials or blade finishes. There's going to be the blasted, which is what this is, and there's going to be a stone wash. So those both are going to be serialized, so you can actually get it that 1 to 150 for each one of the blade materials. So that's going to be kind of a nice thing to do. It is currently only right hand tip up, so it's not going to have a left hand carry for this guy. So yeah, 300 piece run is what he's going for the product, and then that's going to be the run. So that's going to also have a deeper engraving. So if you, I don't know if you've seen it for the pivot. So that's going to be his logo right there. So the pivot right there, it does have his logo on it. It's going to be a little bit deeper as far as the engraving goes. So when it actually goes into production, that's going to be a deeper one. And then also the hardware, these are going to be a little bit more recessed, because if you see here, they kind of are more proud. You can really see it there. So those are going to be a little bit more recessed, so then actually kind of finishes off as far as that fit and finish for the product. This one is going to be about 3.7 ounces for the knife. So quarters and pennies wise, that's 18 quarters and a penny. So why do I even say that? Because you could take your bug out or anything else that's lighter and add quarters right on top of the that knife and actually feel how it is in your hand. Because I mean, sometimes you don't really know. You pick up something, you go, well, that's 4 ounces, that's 2.6 ounces, that's 5 ounces. Most cell phones nowadays, cell phones are probably going to be about 6 ounces for the new iPhone or the new Samsung. So if you have that phone and you're like, this isn't heavy, this isn't too bulky, you're not going to have any problem with anything under that. So, but that is going to be the product here. So it's going to be going down about a half an ounce. So I add some internal milling for it. So 3.7 is going to drop down to probably about 3 ounces, give or take. So this one has a primary angle of about 6 degrees. So basically this primary angle going from the top to the bottom. So it's basically a full, or almost a full flat, basically a full flat with that swedge. And then that is going to be 6 degrees. The actual secondary bevel, the actual sharpened edge was about 19 and 22 degrees. So it was a little bit off as far as the side. It wasn't symmetrical on both sides as far as the sharpening for it. And then the actual degree for the knife. So when you actually do have it, so the actual tip angle, so this is about 40 degrees to get into that tip. So if you're going to be doing a lot of the box cuts and everything else, then that's going to be important to you, because it's not going to be utility blade style as far as it being kind of right there for that tip to be able to go through boxes and tape and everything. So that is that tip angle for it. D10 ramp is about 25 degrees. So basically from when you disengage to when that ball is on the knife, it's going to be about 25 degrees. Which is fine, because it actually is right before it gets to your thumb. So you basically disengage to your thumb and you can drop it down. So that's really not bad at all. And then this one also has a flipper tab only, so you don't have any other deployment methods for this knife. No thumb studs, no holes or anything. You can do a more of a traditional two-hand open, but it's going to be really a flipper tab for it. So 2 pounds, 6.4 ounces on this variant here. And that's really good. So normally about thumb studs are normally, for my preference again, is going to be about 2 pounds for a thumb stud knife and about 3 pounds for a flipper knife. And then of course that can vary a little bit, but that is kind of the data for that information. And then this one, I did another thing that I'm going to work into videos because it's a knife. Does it cut? So that's kind of the important thing about knives, or well, does the knife cut? So this is where basically I got it into cardboard and then just did a cut on it. That's where I put in the alignment pull gauge and then got it there, put the knife in there, and then actually just did a pull cut straight across, and then figured out what the weight of that was, or how much force did that take. This one here was going to be about 10 pounds, so 10 pounds to make that pull cut. A utility blade is about 6 pounds, so there is a difference between it. You're going to have kind of a swedging as far as when you point it through, but that's that difference between that blade stock and everything else. So yeah, 10 pounds compared to 6 for a regular box cutter. And so that's going to be the difference there. This one, so the two things that I would change that he didn't mention with the product is going to be the area here. So if I can show it. So just this corner right there. So itty bitty little corner. But that's the corner that when I'm grabbing onto it, I can feel that corner. So if there's rounded out, or maybe just basically another angle just put right on the edge to cut that down. I haven't watched other people's videos, so I don't know if other people had issues with that, but that's one thing that I did notice. Clip's already being addressed for it, but there is one thing that's for the pivot as far as the tolerance level. So that's one thing. There's basically, most people when they open a knife, you're going to have this level, so it doesn't have any rock, and then you have side to side for it, and then you're going to have another one which is basically the detent or the pivot tolerance. So that's going to be basically this way. So I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to bring it up to the camera. So basically that's a little bit of play, a little bit more than I would like. So you can even see when I kind of tap the blade here. So basically it just moves a little bit. So that's basically that play in the pivot. So that's just something probably for the OEM when they actually go and manufacture a knife, just pay a little bit more attention to that side. But overall, I mean, it's a very, very fine knife, very good. And then price point wise, I mean, it's going to be again $195 and $215. So it's a good price point. Some other knives that kind of came to mind when I was handling it. So the Giant Mouse Corta. So this is one that actually has a really good flipping action for this guy. And then also, if you haven't experienced this one, this is going to be one of Kaiser's, I guess, classics. But this is going to be the Dukes. So I think this has one of the best flipping actions. Yes, the flipper tab is humongous, but because of that, it just has a great action for it. So I keep it around just because I just enjoy how this works. But that's going to be the difference in size there. And then you're going to bring out kind of the basic guys. So rat number 2. Then you have a pair of 3. Then you have a kind of a decked out Solaris. So those are going to be the ones there, but definitely pick it up. I would recommend buying this variant. So when it comes available, it wouldn't be a bad thing to pick up. It would be a really nice knife to work with. It cuts very well for how it operates, but it just very, very nice. I haven't mentioned it, but I mean the handles are contoured as well, so it has just a really good feel in hand. Other than that point that I called out earlier, but just nice. So Shieldon, great work. Nick, great work as well. So check that product out. He'll have a different box and everything else, so that's where he's kind of working those final details out. But check it out, and thanks again. That is about all I have to say about that one today.